K34. So today what we are doing, we are learning how to use vertical addition to solve problems. So I'm going to go through a few examples this morning. If you feel confident at any point throughout the video, what you can do is stop and you can continue doing your work time activities. Now, when we're doing vertical addition, it is best to have grid paper. I know at home, lots of you, we only send home your workbooks, but if you have an old maths book that has the grids in it, you could do it in there. Otherwise, there are some grid sheets on Microsoft Teams that you can also print out. But if you don't have either of those, you can just do it in your normal workbook. So today I'm going to do some equations beginning by using some MAB blocks, just so we can understand how vertical addition works. So the first step that's really important is to make sure we set out our problems on top of each other in line of their place value columns. So as you can see here, my first number is 56. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens and 6 ones. So this is representing 56, and my second number that we're adding to it is 35. So I'm just going to write that on the side here so you can see 56 add 35. So that's our equation that we're doing. So our very first step is to start with our ones column. So we need to make sure our ones are in line with each other. So we can see that's here. And then we need to make sure our tens column is in line with each other. And if we had hundreds, we would make sure our hundreds are in line also. So we're going to always start with our ones column. So we start with the right-hand side and then we move across to the left-hand side. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add 6 ones with 5 ones. So as we can see, 6 and 5 is 11. So in our problem, we actually can't write 11 down in our ones column because there's 2 digits, and that would mean that this number would go into our tens place value column. So what we need to do is we need to rename 11. So we see this as 11 ones. We can rename it to 110 and 1 1. So if we were to join these ones up together, it would make 110 and 1 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute these ones here for a 10. And I'm going to carry that 10 over to my tens column. So that means I would put my 1 down the bottom and I've carried my 110. So I'll put these back so we can still see our equation. So we had 6 and 5 equals 11, which is the same as saying 110 and 1 1. I'm then going to move on to my tens column and I'm going to add my tens up. So we need to make sure that we add this one here. So I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 tens. So our answer is 91. If we were just writing it out as seen over here, we would do exactly the same. So we'd go 6 ones plus 5 ones is 11 ones. We're going to rename 11 ones to 1 1 and 1 10. What's really important is that we carry that 1 and we don't just write a little one. I know some of us do this and we write a little one. We're not to do that because that's when we forget to add that to our tens column. So we need to make sure that we're doing a big one just like all the other numbers, so we're not going to forget to add it. Then we go 1, add 5, and 3 is 9. So our answer is 91. I'm just using these MAB so you can see how it works when we can rename numbers. Let's do another one. So the next one, let me just get my MAB. I'm going to do 78, and I'm going to add 34. So I'm going to just write it out on the side again so you can see 78 add 34. And as you can see in both ways I've represented this equation, my ones column is always in line with each other, and then my tens column is always in line. So I'm not writing it out like this, 78 add 34, because my ones column is not in line. I've got my ones in the top number and my tens in the other number in line. So this, setting your equation out like this, will lead to an incorrect answer. So our first and very most important step is to make sure all our place value columns line up. So we've got 78 add 34. I'm starting with the right hand side, so we always start with our ones column. I'm just going to do a little arrow at the top here to remind me that I always must start with the ones column. So first step, then we add the ones together. So we're just focusing on this section here. So 8 ones add 4. So I'm going to use my counting on strategy to help me. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that means I've got 12 ones. Remember, I can't put it all down in this column because I can't have 2 digits in my ones column. So I need to rename it. So 12 ones is the same as saying 1 10 and 2 ones. And we can see that when we join our ones up, we can see it makes one of our rods. That would be exactly the same as me taking one of these rods. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of my rods and I'm going to carry it over. So 8 and 4 is 12, so I'm putting my 2 ones down the bottom, and I've carried my 110 to my tens column. Remembering when you're writing it out, write that big 1. So I'm going to add 1, 10, and 7 and 3. So I can see 7 and 3 is a friends of 10, so I know that's 10 straight away, and 11. Now, because we don't have a hundreds column to go on, we just write our 11 down straight out. So we can see our answer is 112. So let's do our working out over here as we're writing it. So 8 and 4 is 12. So we rename it to 2 ones, lining it up in our ones column, and 1 10. So we carry that 1. We're going to add our tens column all up. So 7 and 3 is 10. Add 1 is 11. So we write that 11 down because we don't have a hundreds column to work with, and our answer is 112. I'm now going to put our MAB away, and I'm going to start just doing them, writing them out like you'll be doing in your workbook. I'm going to now move to a 3-digit number. So that means we're going to have an extra place value column. So we're going to have the hundreds. So our equation is 398 add 754. Remember, the really important step is to line our columns up. So you can see here, I've got my ones, I've got my tens, and I've got my hundreds column, and they're all in line with our numbers on top of each other. Remembering to start with our ones column first and move across to the left-hand side. So we have a look. 8, add 4 ones. So 8 and 4 is 12 ones. We're going to rename that 12 ones because remembering we can't put 2 digits down in the 1 column, okay? Because then that will move on over to our tens place, and we haven't added our tens yet. So 12 ones is the same as saying 2 ones. So we keep the 2 in our ones column and we carry our 110. Remembering to do a big 1, not a little one. Then we're going to add our tens column. So 9 and 1 is a friend of 10. So we can see 10, add 5 is 15. So we've got 15 tens. Same thing, I can't put 15 in this column. I can't have 2 digits in it. So we need to, because 15 tens, remember if I was to get my MAB out, so let's have a look. If I had 15 rods, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So this is 10 here, and then I need another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can see here I've got 15 10s, which is what our answer in the tens column was. This 10 can then be substituted for 1 flat because it's exactly the same as 100. So I'm going to put my 5 10s down in my tens column, and I'm going to carry my 1 10 over to my hundreds column. So I need to write that big 1, and then I'm going to add my hundreds column up. So I can see here my friends of 10, 7 and 3 is 10, add 1 is 11. So remembering we don't have a thousands column, so we will just write the whole 11 down, and our answer is 1,152. Let's do one more equation together before you guys go off and do your own equations. So 259 add 422. Remembering to line up all our place value columns, I'm going to put my arrow there to remind me that I must start with my ones, then I move to my tens and my hundreds. If we're working carefully column by column, this is putting into practice all those mental strategies that we learnt last week. So we're really not adding any larger numbers than 1-digit numbers at a time to get our total overall answer. So we start with our ones column. 9 and 2 is 11. So we put the 1 down because we're renaming 11 to 110 and 1 1. So we leave our 1 1 there and we carry our 1 10, making sure it's a big 10 at the top. We then move and we add our tens column. So we're going to add 1, 5 and 2 together. So I'm going to start with my larger number. 5 and 2 is 7, add another 1 is 8. So I'm going to put my 8 tens down, making sure they're all lining up. Then we move to our hundreds column. We add 4 and 2, so 4, 5, 6. So the answer is 681. So what's really important, guys, when you're doing your own equations is that you are setting your columns out carefully in line with one another. So all the ones column has to be in line with each other. The tens has to be in line with each other, the hundreds, and if you're doing 4-digit numbers, the thousands. That's the really, really most important part. Good luck with your questions today, guys.